I can probably do one now, but I have more aches and pains and damage to my body than what was there close to 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I remember run-in with one of the contractors here. He was complaining about the poor water pressure. Well, the poor water pressure was because they had left the water on overnight and they had drained 5,000 gallons of water into our backyard.
Not what you want to hear.
I mean, I had a lake back here, you know, and now I've got to call the guy who runs the water company and say, hey, please, can you rescue us? My stupid contractor did this to me, and I have no water.
He's actually a sub.
Yeah, he was a sub. But it was just, you know, that kind of stuff happens. They don't even want, a lot of times your subs don't want to work. Your trades don't want to work if they don't have power and the whole 9 yards.
These are some of the things that it's worthwhile keeping in mind when you're watching YouTube homesteaders.
Just pay attention.
Because not everything is the way it seems.
No, and it's disheartening when you're sitting there going, what am I doing wrong?
Why are these other people able to do all this stuff and I can't?
Yeah, why can they, you know, it's like, oh, you should create a huge compost pile and you should do this and you should do that. We have no deciduous trees around here. Not really. We have a couple of prickly bushes that drop their leaves, but they're not the kind of leaves that rot into good stuff. Evergreens is 90% of what we have, more than 90%, probably 99% of what we have here. That doesn't rot well and make good compost. We are not currently raising any animals that would produce manure. Oh, you should go out and pick up after the cows. Oh, no, thank you. You know?
It's a long walk between cow patties.
It's a long walk between, and that was the first thing we did here, was fence out the cows. As soon as we could afford it, we paid someone to fence the property. We paid some professional fencers, some guys, the cowboys, who came out, and what they do is fixed range fences. And they came out here and they had this place, they had the property line cleared and the fence in faster than we could even think about how do we spool the barbed wire off of the roll that comes on. And they did a good job, and you know, 17 years later, 15 years later, because we didn't get it done immediately, it's still in good shape. And we've had virtually no repairs that have been necessary. They knew how to do it. They knew what the law read, because every state has different rules in terms of what is considered to be legal fencing and liability based on your fencing. And that's an important thing to learn for wherever you are.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about, would we
do it again?
Do it again. By way of commenting, we're not spring chickens.
I'm 70.
And I'm not 70.
Close.
Getting close.
Getting close.
When we built this place, we were in our early 50s. And I could lift 2 heavyweight concrete blocks at a time, carry them up the hill, one-handed put them up on the scaffolding to go with our mason, and that was no problem.
Those are split-face blocks, which are twice the weight of a normal cement block.
And I could do that, and not only could I do it, I did it all day long. I can probably do one now, but I have more aches and pains and damage to my body than what was there close to 20 years ago. But, you know, there's some other things that would stop us, even if we have, and we do have, a place that would be ideal for a homestead. It has water, it has trees, it has a lot of the natural resources that we would like in a homestead. But if you looked at our property, we have 2 40-foot cargo containers that are full. We have a workshop that is over full. We have a studio that is over full. And we have everything we have in the house. So if we were going to do something like this, our first step would have to be...
We'd have to build a pole barn. We'd have to build a pole barn just for storage, a mouse-proof pole barn just for storage, and probably get a couple more cargo containers, because the nice thing about cargo containers is they're rat-proof. So as long as you don't have leaks in them, you're not going to have any kind of rodents or anything else get into there. You don't have to worry about drippage from anything getting in there and ruining your papers. You don't have to worry about, we were watching somebody the other day who was clearing out a pole barn that they were using, and they had plastic containers that apparently they were not careful about closing the lids on, and they discovered a whole bunch of their clothing and stuff had been ruined because rats had gotten in and made nests and chewed fabric and all that kind of stuff, and now it's full of poo and blah. Yeah. So and that just may sound yucky, but it's actually physically dangerous. Hantavirus is a way of life around here. It's a virus that you get as a respiratory infection, and it can kill you.
Fortunately, we don't have a lot of the mice that carry this particular virus at this point in our area, but there are.
If you were to check the maps, it used to be that hantavirus and plague too, were mostly only found in the Southwest. Hantavirus is ubiquitous now.
Yeah.
And plague is spread too. And as the climates change,
it's going to get worse.
Oh yeah, well, there's now multiple tropical diseases you can catch in Houston.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we would have to do if we were going to build a new homestead.
Mm-hmm.
Would I look forward to the challenge? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't look forward to the physical labor.
Right. I mean, if this was 20 years ago,
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. Now you sit there and you've got, 18 years of blood, sweat, and tears into this place. We don't have the resources we used to have. We basically would need to sell this place in order to be able to afford the things we would do at the next place.
And that's pretty much
what do you do in meantime? Everything goes into storage, and you're in some sort of a small rental.
So an awful lot of homesteaders who are doing these moves have the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Cog Hill Farm, they bought a fifth-wheel travel trailer.
Mm-hmm.
They lived in that for the first year while they were on their property doing all the infrastructure.
And it was a nice
things.
one, too. It was way nicer than anything we ever lived in when we were building.
But at the end of it all, we have stuff. Now, I'll tell you the first thing that would have to happen is we would have to downsize a lot of the things that we have, which we could do, but we still have a lot of stuff that we would want to maintain.
Well, one of the things I have not seen with any of these homesteaders, any of them, is we have a library. I mean, a physical paper library of thousands of books. I remember when we were looking at building a house in California, talking to the architect and saying, okay, the second floor up here has to be able to handle a library. And she's like, well, like 5 or 10 books? I'm like, no, a library like you go to down at the public library that's got thousands of pounds of books.
Well, probably 4,000 or 5,000 volumes.
Yes. So what that does is, if you're putting that on a second floor of a house, that is a totally different loading issue for the beams. And that's something you have to understand. What are you going to put there? Are you going to put your fluffy pillows up there, or are you going to put your rock collection up there? I've been in houses where when I walk across the living room, the floor bounces. I hate that. That it may be legal, but it's just barely legal, and it doesn't give you any room for mistakes in terms of the building.
If you'd like to hear more about engineering decisions and the kinds of things that Irene's talking about, that's called LD, and there'll be an LD 90 and LD 120, all different manner of things like that. If you'd like to hear more about those kinds of engineering issues, leave a comment in the notes below, because Irene took the house building class. I have an engineering background. There's a lot of things we know and would be very happy to explain if you want to hear that.
Right.
But those are the kinds of things that are important for you to understand if you're going to build a new homestead.
Even if you're not building it yourself, even if you're doing what Jason and his lady did, where they brought in a company, and the company has fully engineered and approved by the county drawings, and they bring in the building and they put it up, and then they do the finishing, and and they know the capacity of every piece of that building because it was structurally engineered, and they have stamped engineering drawings. And if in the future they were ever to have a tragedy and have something break, they can go back to those engineering drawings and say, okay, either it wasn't engineered correctly or somebody didn't build it correctly. There's a liability here. That's why you use licensed contractors, which is another thing we couldn't do out here, is use licensed contractors. There aren't any, or there weren't any at the time. Just weren't any. And the one guy that we had did help us said, well, he used to have a license, but he let it go because it cost him money. And you have to have insurance if you're a licensed contractor, because there's that liability if you screw something up and they come back to you and say, hey, this fell down, you have to fix it. Now, do you call on your insurance or do you just eat it out of pocket?
Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, when you're going to build a new homestead from raw land, there's a lot of considerations you need to really, more than consider, you need to examine very carefully.
Yeah, knowledge.
And
you need knowledge.
You have to have the knowledge.
Or buy it if you don't have it.
Buy the knowledge.
Yes, buy the knowledge. You know, there's many things I can do. There's things I don't want to do. You know, and, you know, Henry doesn't particularly care for doing plumbing. I don't mind doing plumbing. So a lot of times the irrigation outside, I did a whole stack of it while he was on the road and stuff like that. I don't like doing electrical. I can do it.
Electrical's no big deal.
I have changed light switches. I put in dimmer switches on things and stuff like that. I can follow the instructions as well as any goofball can. Turn off the breaker so you know you're not going to electrocute yourself, and follow the instructions. I don't like doing it, so he handles that. If there was something that we were really uncomfortable doing, we'd hire the expertise. He's got a couple of friends who call him on a regular basis because of his expertise with solar work to help with their own solar systems. You know, he doesn't charge them anything, but sometimes there's a Benny along the way somewhere they find something and they're like, hey, did you hear so-and-so's got this for sale? Or, you know, you get somebody watching out for you, basically.
You know, just being a good neighbor is a good thing.
Yes, yes. We helped one of our neighbors with some information for his stuff. And when we were looking for a part for the electrical stuff, he's a retired electrician. He said, hey, I got some of that. I'll give it to you. You know, it's a deal.
And it meant I didn't have to go searching for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that we couldn't have afforded it. It's just that suddenly it was magically on our property and it didn't cost us anything.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, we got to get to work. I got a list that long today.
I have a list.
Yes.
I have no idea how long it is.
Yes,
because
well, just for the things I want to get done today, it's this long. The list itself is, you know, eternal and gargantuan.
There are plenty of things that happen on a day-to-day basis that are wholly unexpected for me. A lot of it is how many orders comes in for Irene's business. So do I need to go into town? And going into town is an hour every time I go in.
Right, yeah, you know, yesterday he went in because I had four orders, plus we had a package waiting for us.
4 packages. You didn't know about 3.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know about the other one. I knew I had a package from Amazon waiting for us. And one thing was a Christmas present, and the other thing was a cool piece of stuff that we can't get in the grocery store right now. You know, I had all kinds of plans yesterday, and I got some stuff done, but other things came up that had to be handled immediately, and I took care of them, and that means the rest of the list didn't get done, so it got sloughed over today.
There's a never-ending list.
Yeah.
And one of the things you'll learn, if you decide to build a new homestead, like Austin and Kay at Homesteading, stuff breaks.
Yeah.
Things change. The weather changes. You know, I will tell you that every day for about a week, every time that Ost went to work on that property, a piece of heavy equipment was broken.
Well, his car broke first. I mean, the first time he drove up there, the car broke. You know, so it was like one a day, multiple breakages. It was practically every time he went out. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, you know, does that property have bad juju? Do you need to get a medicine man out there to get rid of the bad juju from that property?
The number of times that we've had a car break down on our property is minuscule. We've always been able to fix it for an expedient fix and always get it to town or to a mechanic.
Right.
But you can't always do that.
Right, right. And we've always had another vehicle that you could tow with. We watched somebody towing in town the other day with a chain. Ooh, that's against the law. And we knew they were going
stupid.
That's stupid. Well, we knew they were going to drive right past the state trooper, and I'm like, oh.
This is not going to end
This is not going to end well. They're going to make him park that thing and get a ticket and everything else, too.
And they did.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm going to say goodbye because otherwise...
We're never going to get to our lists.
and you'll never get lunch.
Oh, that would be a very bad thing, yes. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you have questions, if you're thinking about specific issues that you're concerned about, throw them out there to us because, honestly, we anticipated an awful lot because this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first piece of property we've ever worked on. We've worked on property in multiple places around the United States. And we have some decent skills. But every once in a while, you still get surprised.
You know what? Not just every once in a while. Every day you get surprised. Every single day you're going to get surprised.
Right. It's just a matter of whether it's a good surprise or a bad surprise.
A little surprise or a big surprise.
A big surprise. Are we talking you need to inflate your tire so you have to have just a little bit because it's just a little soft. So you need to just grab your compressor and blow it up. Or it's completely deflated and off the rim and won't hold air. And now you have to change your tire. So it's a variation.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to, as Irene says, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Yep.
Because we're still going to be doing a ton of stuff here.
Lots of stuff. It's, yeah, I'm so far behind, it's ridiculous. But we'll be doing it eventually. So until next time, bye.
Bye. Keep brainstorming because...
Obviously, everybody needs to brainstorm. Even if you live in an apartment somewhere, you need to brainstorm.
She's talking up a storm.
I know. She loves to sing in the sun. The first time I ever heard her doing it, I thought she was like getting murdered by something. Because sometimes she kind of yowls a bit.
Yeah.
But she's actually
Jack.
really happy.
I'm going to move a little bit.
He says, I'm trying to get closer to you.
Okay, come here. Well, that was disappointing.
That was really annoying. He goes, oh, you know, if we finished up yesterday, and he's like, oh.
I'm not sure if we have any video. I'm not sure if we have any audio, or if we do, how much we have.
Right. I was like.
The joys of battery-operated equipment and the vagaries of battery indicators on the portable equipment.